Hello.
Yeah, Mike Quinn.
Yes, sir.
This is Todd Giffen.
Oh, hey. How are you?
Good.
Good. I heard you might be in Washington.
Yeah, I'm still here in Washington. Yeah,
Oh, how's it going over there?
sucks. It's like a
dis-
dead zone.
Discouraging.
It's discouraging. It's like a dead zone. I've done a lot. I would think in a normal world that if anybody did the things that I've done, that something would have happened already. Something big. You
Right.
know, there would have been some, like, the government, their job, this is their job title, to do stuff, to be concerned about what's going on in government
Exactly.
and what's happened to their citizens, and the lawlessness, the legalities, the abuse, the fraud, the waste. No,
The murder.
the murder.
Oh,
Yeah, see, it's really the murder and the torture. There's really serious up there crimes going on all over at a massive scale, and I'm one of the victims. And it doesn't matter what kind of evidence I got. They don't give a. It doesn't matter if any whistleblower comes forward either, because I just made this comparison too on Twitter. I said that Snowden's leaks. See, Snowden is just one warrior among many who he's joined this resistance against the government. And the terrorists.
That part of it, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got terrorists. These terrorists are not terrorists at all. They're fighting the same thing we're fighting. Then there's these activists. There's these whistleblowers. All these different people all around the country and the world fighting the United States. We think the United States has a problem. There's a gravity. This country is so thick, full of energy because of its corruption. It's just got so much corruption. There's all this gravity pulling us towards it to want to fight it. Oh, and so we're all fighting it. And then,
yeah.
with now,
Yeah.
Now, so I made this comparison even with the blueprints of the Death Star. That's what Snowden got, right? He went into the Death Star, or some part of the Empire, and he walked out with all the documents of part of the Death Star, right? That's the system they're using to control us. And even he
is that what they call it?
That's what I'm calling it. It's the Death Star.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and now, there's no impact, even with the blueprint. No impact. And Snowden has said this. Everyone says this. I come across posts on the internet. Everyone's like, "Hey, remember that PRISM thing? How this is only the most intrusive government operation we've ever heard of." And how I guess it's okay now because nothing's happened since it was exposed. You know, nothing.
That is true. Ever since he exposed all that, nothing, not a single thing has been a domino. There hasn't been one domino fall since he exposed everything. It's hilarious. It's sad, but it's so typical.
Yeah. And he's just demonstrating this wall, this huge, powerful force the United States is, how corrupt they are. It wasn't ever an issue of people not knowing. Everyone knew. So when Snowden came forward, there wasn't anybody in government who cared. Or when Todd Giffen came forward, or when a targeted individual came forward, or when any Dr. Robert Duncan came forward, it doesn't matter. They already know It's all going on.
Well, there's no one in charge. And whoever is, there's no accountability. That's the biggest problem. Even in my family, it's the same nightmare. You got 3/4 of the family trapped in CIA sex slavery, and they're not allowed to talk about it, or they're punished for violating national security by the police departments. And so, there's a couple people, and I've met them, and they're part of my family. We don't hang out. That would have been helpful, but they never bothered. That are very famous in the music business, and they're trapped. Imagine you're one of the most famous rock stars on planet Earth, and they feel like a helpless, that no one will help them. They get in trouble for even talking about it. It's a violation of national security. I mean, people that are so famous, they can walk into the White House and have lunch with someone just because they're celebrity power. But they, even with all their connections, they try to get people in the military. Can you help me? can you help? There are people in my family trapped in sex slavery. No one ever does anything.
Absolutely. In fact, I just had a psychologist friend I came across, and she's one of them. She started off working in the sheriff's department. She was working in the medical emergency EMT stuff, and she turned into a psychologist. She married a district attorney at some point, but she told me, that she's going on and on about sex trade stuff, and the cops are behind it. She told me that there's the reason you can't do nothing about it. The police are the customers, and they're running the show. They're running the prostitution ring. So they might go in and they'll bust one ring, but it's protected, and they build it right back up, and it'll be right back. And the police.
Oh, that's just the street level stuff. The intelligence agency, sex slavery. Then you can't work your way up in the police department if you're not a member of it. If you don't join it, the homosexual satanic cults in the military intelligence. I've had cops tell me they've been working at the Portland Police Department for ever. 15 years, and they can't get promoted because they won't join the homosexual CIA cult that runs the place because of my family. My nephew just retired as chief of police, Mike Reese, and a bunch of other guys in the family. It's kept so secret that they will literally get fined by other police for violating national security if they even call each other brother in public. They don't want the public to know that the mafia families run the police departments. And this isn't the Hollywood mafia. This is the CIA mafia. The only real one anymore. This is the mafia with the satellites and the military and the government helping it call all their activities, all their crimes, rapes, and murders are all a national security secret. So it's worse than no accountability. They punish people for even talking about it. I've been through hell over it. As you know, I don't need to tell you about corruption in psychiatry, but I've watched these cops in my family, like they're at a drive-up window at a fast food restaurant, order letters from a psychiatrist that they brought with them on half a dozen nieces and nephews. Here, give us a letter on him, hand them the list of the names to the doctor, and he types up letters calling people crazy and paranoid, schizophrenic, and delusional just because they're telling the truth. And we've got independent.
Oh yeah, it's just so bad. Massive. Yeah, this is massive as fuck. Yeah, that was Misty Getrich was my psychologist. I just want to put the name out there. That's who, wife of the DA right now. She's got her doctorate. She fully supports all this, everything that we're saying right here.
She supports the corruption, or she supports putting a stop to it.
No, she's a believer of everything, and she's seen it because, she's seen the dirty stuff when she worked for the sheriffs. Yeah, and like I told you, the police are literally running the prostitution rings and the human trafficking going on.
Well, they're not just running it. When you tell a CIA sex slave you need to take care of something, that's the line that if they don't respond and initiate sex, they actually, this is how bizarre it is. I had to see it before my very eyes more than once to believe my eyes that what my nieces were telling me was true. If they don't have sex, when the CIA hookup line is used, they are written tickets by the police. It's a violation. They're more than running it. The cops, there's a lot of slave. I tested it. I said this to a cop. I asked him if he had a sore throat, and another cop said, "I'll pay your ticket." He was going to get a ticket because I'm a heterosexual. I'm not a switch hitter. I just said it to test him to see if he was a slave. And here, these cops are slaves. They're trapped in it too. The homosexuality in the police department that's who's running it. And those cops, I've had them, like I mentioned, they were thinking that because I was from the same family, is there anything I can do to help? And I couldn't even get a job at the police department. They told me, there's no way you'd last down here. You're a good man and you're heterosexual.
Yeah,
it's totally corrupt.
Yeah, Lane County Sheriff's big bad power there. They're big, just fucking huge. And I'm not the only one that says it. My friend says that he overheard them admit that they hung somebody. The sheriffs hung somebody. They kill people. And they're running around with all this military gear and all this power. They got access to everything. The NSA secret, all the satellites and all this crap. It's a secret communication network. And they're intertwined from city to city. So if you're a target, you're on their shit list, the sheriff's shit list or the police union shit list or whatever shit list. The FBI's got you, you know, you go from city to city, every single cop is in on. They already know you're there. You're coming. And they know just what to do.
When I went to Idaho trying to get someone to help me with the situation when they murdered my grandmother with a hot-wired microwave oven, the FBI in Bend, Oregon said they couldn't talk about it because the hot-wired microwave oven was itself a national security secret. They weren't allowed to talk about the fact you can kill people with that, and it's one of the most popular weapons for the mafia, CIA, besides poisoning. And so when I headed across the border in Idaho, I got pulled over in Napa Caldwell. And they asked me, the cop, they knew who I was, and they said, are the Portland FBI still trying to kill you, to steal the coke you inherited? And he actually had a container that the CIA that's how they bury the coke. So it can last for decades. And he even knew more than I did about how the Portland FBI were involved in murdering my grandmother and trying to kill me to steal these coke stashes on our property. And later I found out it wasn't just that, it was the entire Northwest Territory my father, my real biological father, had control over. And he left everything to me. It's like wrapping bacon around my head and throwing me into the bear cage. With the CIA and the cops and the mafia here in Portland.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Oh, God damn, man. What you're telling me is right on. And down in Eugene, there's something just like this, too. I keep hearing stories exactly like what you're saying. Down in Eugene, the cops, there's a protected network, and a lot of employees working at different places in on this, and there's talks of this remote neural monitoring being used all over. And I found this discussion on a sheriff's Lane County mugshot Facebook forum, and I dig into that, and their state employees are all, this is all going on. The state employees all got access to it. When I read that shit, I can't believe they're discussing it so openly.
Oh yeah. Well, they're so blatant. I've been there when these older guys in the family that work at the police department. I've been there when they murder people. I've been the target of being framed for these murders. They handed me a rifle. This happened at least a half a dozen times up in Granite, Oregon, when I was on a deer hunting or elk hunting trip. And these guys show up. I had no idea how just absolutely saturated the mountains were up there with drug stashes. I had no idea. My brothers didn't want me to know because they wanted to steal everything they could get their hands on. And they didn't want me to know that I was the one that was left to. So they were trying to kill me to steal everything. And these guys, especially when Eric owned Blackwater, my nephew, this happened so many times. They would hand me a rifle and say, hey, what do you think of this? I'm like, oh, cool. So, Forrest Gump. I have no idea what they're doing. They take the rifle. It's got my fingerprints on it. And just walk over and shoot somebody right there. Just murder somebody in cold blood. And then they chase me around saying, there's options to going to prison. And you're supposed to be intimidated. And, they're gay. What they want to do is, and they flat out admit it, they want you to join that part of the CIA. And you have to be initiated into it through a homosexual sex act.
There's stuff going on, man. Here's what also scares me. My mom's side of the family, ultra criminal syndicate on that side. But I never grew up with my mom. She just, I didn't grow up with her, but around in her 20s, she just switches over to doing drug dealing, drug using, gang banging, gang members, and she knows all the big players all over the place.
Right.
And so I learned some stuff from her. Some of her old, there's a lot of people down in Lane County. They're in on this remote neural monitoring thing everywhere. And there's like, you can get murdered if you talk about this. You'll be killed. And there's a lot of members that go to the Elks Club down there. And
oh, great.
I've heard.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I've got a couple of victims who they came to me and told me more of the inside details. And the way I pieced it together is when they were giving me the names of people, then I kind of knew these names already, and I went to my family and kind of pieced together some of the info about what was going on inside this criminal network, and they're protected. All the cops are involved in it, and they won't go to jail for it.
No, when you murder somebody in that cult, that part of the CIA and the mafia, all you have to do is say, "I'm helping a family take out the trash." And when you say, "I'm helping a family take out the trash," the cops know they have to let you go for national security reasons. If they don't let them go, they'll be treated like they're violating national security.
Well,
that's how ridiculous it is.
Yeah, because they're all protected. Because every death adds to this tremendous paranoia that if anybody gets exposed, this gets out, or if they go against it at all, then and all the members are protected as long as they're in on it. They're protected.
Right. Well, it's a tangled up mess. That's for sure. And you don't have to be anybody important. Like, you don't have to be, have some level 3 or whatever. You don't have to have some big high security clearance for this to apply to you, where you're actually able to get away with murder. I know.
Oh yeah. You just got to be in the black world, running with their crew, and they're all over the place.
Yeah. And all you got to do is say, "I'm taking out the trash," and they have to let you go. Now that's really cool if you're getting a DUI and now you're not because you said, "I'm taking out the trash." I mean, I admit it. I've used it to get out of speeding tickets, and because it's my family, I might as well get some benefit from the hell I've been through. But I'm not out killing people. I'm not out stealing other people's inheritances. But to them, it's like an Olympic event. I mean, that's how they buy their hotels, and that's where they get the money to build their businesses. It's not from hard work and being creative. It's from literally having a license to steal and kill in the process that starts when they're young teenagers and goes on and on until they're practically billionaires, some of them. And it's just obscene. They even kill each other because they're greedy and selfish. And those personality types are just as good at pissing each other off as they are everybody else. It's amazing how they weed each other out. Not fast enough, but it goes on a lot, believe me. It's kind of interesting culture, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely. And they got lawyers too. That's what I really got stumped by, was the fact that they had lawyers, and they're big groups of lawyers. They all know what's going on. And so we're all fucked trying to go find a lawyer. We're going to lawyers, and they got their buddy system already installed, both the public defender and private defense and prosecutorial side of the gates.
An older guy in my family who is a Vietnam-era CIA Green Beret, who's still proud of the fact he murdered Jim Morrison and several other rock stars. He told me that it is so corrupt that the medical industry and the Bar Association are both totally controlled by the mafia at the CIA, and that lawyers know that they can lose their license to practice law if they get too ambitious about putting a stop to any of this. And so they are just as bad as, it's like going to talk to a cop. They'll just look at you like the perfect, happy, handsome sociopath and lie to your face and call you crazy. The lawyers are getting just as bad, doing the same crap. Because they don't want to get in trouble. They know it's true, but they're afraid, just like Lars Larson, who's another relative of mine. He has a talk radio show. That's why Lars Larson will never talk about sex slavery, never talk about any of this. And even if the subject comes up, he'll play dumb or call the person crazy himself. Because I heard him admit at a dinner downtown with a bunch of relatives there, if he even got on the subject of any of this, he would lose his license to broadcast. Because one of the girls in the family were like, "You've got a radio show, Superman. Why don't you save us? Why don't you help us with this sex slavery nightmare we're stuck in?" And he said, "I can't even talk about it. If I mentioned it, I would be off the air the same day forever." So it's really, really difficult.
You talking about Lars Larson?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
I went to him
videos.
too, and he thanked me for providing the info I provided. But that's as far as it went. He read over my lawyers of the brief, a couple of psychologists, and Dr. Robert Duncan's thing, I think. But I still want to try to get him another copy of all that, because the best thing I found to do is, because see, we're both in this world where everything me and you are saying is true, and
right.
The only thing we could do to protect ourselves is to just put our information into as many people's brains as possible, and accept that we are powerless if someone wants to kill or rape us or torture us, but try to fight it nonetheless, and if we die, at least our legacies will go on.
Oh, yeah, I've had so many attempts in my life. It's getting boring. You're right about they do drug and rape guys. The Nazi brown shirts, which is where all this came from, this nightmarish carryover and expansion from Operation Paperclip after World War II. The Nazi brown shirts, that was all started in a gay bar in Munich. And that's what these guys are proudly card-carrying members of. It's the Nazi brown shirts that helped build the CIA into what it is today, and they recruit the same way the brown shirts did back then. And the radical gay lifestyle, bisexual lifestyle, they don't think twice about drugging and raping. Believe me, it's happened in my family a lot, and to other people. I've been there when my nephew, who used to own his own security company, decides he's going to steal a briefcase full of cash from a guy, and it's not enough to kill him. He sodomizes him first and then executes him. And then all he has to do is say he's helping a family take out the trash, and the police do nothing.
Yeah, you know something, people don't get that this is all real either. This is like Grand Theft Auto type fucking video game stuff to them. They think it's all fantasy and it's not real anymore. They're programmed to think this only happens in fantasy movies, books. But there are cowboys, there are Indians. It's all real. You know? Yeah,
they think their life isn't affected by it. And a lot of them, it's easy to go through your entire life and not be affected by it. I'm too broke to ignore it. I'd rather, being an activist was never on my to-do list or wish list. There's a lot of things I'm not happy about in this world and stuff the government does, but really, I'd rather be fishing and helping, patenting new products, and, about as heroic as I wanted to get was, get my inheritance, my multi-million-dollar inheritance, and get my nieces out of sex slavery and travel the world with them and some nephews and have a good time. But it's turned into a nightmare where I'm having to try to find a lawyer for years now. Eric Prince helped my adopted mother steal my inheritance. They murdered my grandmother. They cut her throat so she couldn't talk to me while they had her tied in a bed and were burning her to death with these microwaves with door latches hot wired. I mean, the most brutal satanic cult murders.
Oh, yeah.
And no one will help. The police won't help. I have dropped off reports of these crimes and others, and I keep adding information to it. It's all true. Anyone with security clearance can verify everything I'm saying is true. I've been dropping off reports to state police offices, FBI offices, city police departments all around Oregon, Washington, and Idaho for over a decade now. The murder of my grandmother, the one that was the most devastating to me, and then stealing my home and everything else, just making it worse. That's been 9 years ago. And not one cop has done anything except try to get my signature so they can get more coke. Because I'm the one who inherited the rank that had control of the whole Northwest. but they were told by NSA that they're not allowed to pay me till after I get married, or they've been trying to kill me to take me out so they don't have to pay me. I've been signing for cops to salvage drug stashes that I inherited for over 30 years, and not a single one of them have paid me. I'm the best friend any of them ever had. You know, I have helped more cops retire millionaires than anybody in the world, probably. And all I ask is that they help me when I need some money, and put the scum that burned my grandmother to death and stole my home, which was part of my inheritance, bring them to justice. 9 years. I can't get help with that. I can't get help getting my nieces out of sex slavery. It's incredible. You're right on when it comes to there's no one to help. The only justice, the only people that I've ever seen do any bringing other people to justice are the same mercenaries that are involved in it. Like Eric Prince, once in a while, he wakes up on the other side of the bed. I don't know what happens. He gets a surge of testosterone and courage, and he's taken out a few guys in the family that were ripping me off with poisonings. And of course, he gets away with it. No one questions it. Even the victims' relatives aren't allowed to talk about the murder, or they'll get written tickets for violating national security. So it's just a free-for-all within those families and the intelligence community.
Well, yeah.
They're not even allowed. I mean, if you are in NSA and you're in the CIA and they're trying to kill you, you're supposed to just run around with your tail between your legs until you fall over dead. You can't even talk about it, or the police will punish you.
That's exactly right. And, you know, Ted Gunderson said a lot of the same stuff. Ted Gunderson, former FBI director nominee, 30 years veteran on the force, handpicked to join the force by Edgar Hoover himself, former FBI director and president, and COINTELPRO supervisor and all that, Los Angeles FBI director. And he had them do poisoning. They poisoned him. See, they stalked him. They tried to kill him over and over and over. They wanted him dead bad.
Where you're really doomed in this situation is like my family microchips everybody. They can. I've been chipped with a technology called Digital Angel. The FBI told me, some very brave ones, because believe me, as you already know, when you need heroes to show up and rescue, it ain't going to be them. Well, thank God for a couple brave ones from Central Oregon. They told me that this microchip was so horrible. It worse than just sending out a radio signal that enables them to eavesdrop on everything, and the GPSing and monitoring your heart rate and everything else. We live in a time where it's so evil that the technology, they can literally see what you're seeing through the translating the electrical impulses and the signals through the optic nerve. You don't have to have a chip near or on the optic nerve. Just having one of these double vision chips in your tooth or your jaw, like I do, under the gum line, can enable satellite technology to now track somebody. If they can track somebody or zero in on them using any technology, microchips just make it easier. With satellite technology, they can now see what someone is looking at on a computer screen.
Yep.
And there's a website. And if someone could get me that website, I could go to Washington and get something done. Because believe me, that's the biggest threat to national security that ever existed. Nobody in the military, nobody in any layer of government could look at anything without some foreign enemy having access to that. All it takes is someone who has access to that part of the internet. And I mean, they can literally record everything you're looking at.
Oh, yes.
On a computer, a thousand miles away.
And Snowden said that they'll be watching you type a message on your computer. Edit, click back, add this word, click there, add this little apostrophe. Snowden said that. Boom. And
this is, it's not just a rumor. I had someone demonstrate it to me. they put the exact website to my chip on a computer screen. This happened in Central Oregon. But because I didn't know anything about microchip technology, I didn't know I had been chipped. I couldn't imagine my worst nightmares. I had spent my life in a family that would be quiet about something like this just because they might get a ticket. Who cares? I would have helped them pay the ticket. They put the website up on the computer screen. I looked at the computer screen, and I could see the computer screen on the computer screen. It works. And it was kind of like looking into a mirror. You could see one little computer screen inside of another computer screen inside of another computer screen. Because I had no prior, no one gave me any warning. No one explained anything except, here, look at this. I just thought it was some bizarre screensaver. And I didn't understand how this could possibly work. And when you're not looking at the computer screen, I couldn't see it. But when I looked at the computer screen, all you see is what you're looking at. It was so confusing. How in the hell could this happen? I mean, imagine trying to figure that out if you don't know about the chip. So bless their hearts for trying.
Oh, not just the chips. Yeah, the ultimate technique is the interferometry. This is where they just blanketly scan entire continents of people in their homes, entire neighborhoods. And so they got your whole area being monitored by literally scanning your entire house, your body, everybody inside of it in real time. Right. That's interferometry. That's when they're getting the signals out of your eyeballs and your brain and your various nerves, even your computer signals, intercepting the electrical impulses, decoding USB, PCI, various buses, CPU signals. They could pull memory right out of the hard drive. So your computer's off, and they're pulling off all your fucking data from the dormant hard drive.
I believe it.
Yeah, because interferometry is like the ultimate hard drive header reader. Just reads it right from space. Boom.
You can talk about apathy in high places. The ex-attorney general of the United States of America, John Ashcroft, when he was part of the group that bought Blackwater from my nephew, all they cared about was stealing the whole Northwest territory of this distribution business I inherited. And I swear to God, I mean, it blew my mind to find out, here's one of the most powerful, next to the President of the United States, probably even more powerful than the President of the United States, the Attorney General of the United States. And all they offer to help with is Coke. Are you kidding me? My grandmother's been strapped in a bed, burned to death. I've had over 100 attempts on my life by these sweetie old hookers. And my fucking asshole nephew, who used to own Blackwater, you bought it from him. He's been running around the family killing people to steal briefcases full of my money, my inheritance. I'm chipped with the most maniacal, diabolical nightmare, privacy-annihilating, life-destroying microchip that ever came out of the ass of hell. And all you care about is Coke? I mean, you got to be kidding me. Of course, I'd love to work with you guys and share the whole Northwest with you and get paid lots of money. But don't you think you ought to save my life first? I mean, it's incredible. And nothing, not a single thing has happened bringing those people to justice for what they did to me or my grandmother. And after I didn't want Ashcroft to think that I wasn't saying no, because I do need their help with this situation and all the stuff I inherited. I'm tired of the attempts on my life and everything else that goes along with it, and the financial injustice of a bunch of assholes in my family that are billionaires from ripping me off, and I'm living in a camper trailer in Sherwood. Believe me, I want your help, Ashcroft, but first, and I need his help with other stuff so we can at least talk in private. And I haven't been.
Yeah, you know what they told me? They told me a secret too. They can even scan your paper, in effects. So here you are. You got a pile of paper sitting there on the table, and you got a shotgun. You're sitting there guarding your pile of papers. Here they are, interferometry scanning your papers and taking off all your secrets from them.
I believe it.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, they know you've got some methamphetamine hidden under your bed, stashed in a secret container. No one, might not check for. They know right where it's at because they scanned your whole house. And,
oh yeah, and it's been a learning experience. I mean, Ashcroft seemed like a cool guy, and I still need him to help me with this mess. But it just amazes me how all they focus on is what will help them, instead of rescuing me from the situation, and then we can work together on it. And he showed up several times. I never even knew who John Ashcroft was until I finally his secretary explained to me who he was. And then I realized how many times I'd met him, and I was clueless. All I knew he was friends with guys in my family. That's all I knew.
Yeah, the other thing they do, they also know how to plant stuff good, man. They'll just drop it right there.
Well, check this. Talking about you're right about the NSA being able to violate privacy. I was watching a video, a home movie, didn't even have the sound on, with the sound off, of a home video that was 20 years old. And it was a video of my grandmother complaining about her daughter Sheila and her brothers at the police department and in the music business, trying to kill me and my grandmother to steal the metal boxes full of coke that were buried in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time the video was made, I had no idea what the hell she was talking about. But when I pulled the video out 20 years later, or 15 years later, I didn't even have the sound on, and I was watching it through the lens of a video camera, an old millimeter video camera. I took it up to make copies at a film processing center. I swear to God, I never said a word. I didn't say anything to anybody. I was by myself the whole time when I watched it and afterwards. The cops in the family were already there trying to scam copies, trying to steal it. And I never even told them or anybody where I was going or what I did. The information that was on it, I still needed more information. So, I mean, literally, when they're in NSA, they have access to stuff that they can violate your privacy. I mean, when I can have the sound completely off on the video, all I can do is play the video without even playing it on TV, just looking through the eye port on a handheld video camera, an old 8mm, and the next day, thieves in my family know what's on that video and are there at the video duplicate processing place trying to steal copies of it. And they admitted when I went down to meet an older guy in the family who was working at the Portland FBI, Gary Wright, who was a sergeant at the time, I believe, Washington County Police, Gary Wright said out loud that he stole the copy from the video store, and he said to Bob Dennis, who was an FBI agent at the time, and Naval Criminal Intelligence, another guy in the family, he said out loud, "We don't want this video getting out of his grandmother, complaining about the, getting microwaved and getting killed and the metal boxes." And they all agreed right in front of me. And I thought, what the hell? I go back to the video place, and sure enough, they had stolen copies.
That's exactly the way it works. You're being under surveillance. They could have actually tapped your brain after you reviewed the footage through the iPort, and they go into your brain maybe while you're asleep. Could have been while you're eating a sandwich later. And then,
seriously,
they want that tape back. They know you've had access to it. Yeah, I was thinking about animals who witness crimes. Government will go to the animals if they don't have footage and go in their brains looking for evidence.
You got to be kidding. You're pulling my leg. Seriously?
Not kidding at all. That cat who was in the room with everyone who had some privacy for a moment when they shouldn't have is now everything they need to see everything that happened inside that room.
Oh, God, it's hard to even imagine, man.
It is, but they're going into the cat's brain. It's a recording device. It's everything that cat saw and heard being tapped.
Well, I'm a believe it when I see it guy, but I have seen I knew that the FBI that showed up trying to save my life, they weren't kidding when they said that they had the website to the chip. It was a double vision microchip that was being used to violate my privacy visually. And they had the website. I swear to God, why didn't they give it to me? That's how frustrating it is. They're so chicken shit. They never follow through. And I ended up having a girl in Boise, Idaho, actually text messaged me the same website. But I was sitting in my car, and it was dark outside, and it was dark inside the car. When I clicked on the website, I couldn't see anything. On the phone screen, it was too dark. So that was another failed attempt to save my life, getting me the information. So there are a few people out there who are trying to save people in this situation occasionally, but it's so rare, and they're so chicken shit about it. Excuse my language, because they don't want to get tickets or whatever they perceive to be the consequence. You just get slaughtered. So that's why I didn't mean to bother you today, but just to have a group that at least acknowledges this type of terrorism goes on, like you guys, it's refreshing, even if it's just to gripe at each other about it, because we don't know who can help us.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy.
You know what they did? They first used this technology. I was at the Oregon State Hospital. I don't think I was under surveillance till then, but there's no way to know. For all I know, good portions of my life I was under surveillance, and they were watching me. They watch everybody. It's a secret management system for people. It's secret census. People won't tell all their secrets. So the government goes in there and gets it out at select periods. How does this person really believe? What do they really do in their spare time? You know, that stuff they won't put down or tell government. The government's got it all. They've had it a long time. But 2000,
military intelligence does, yeah.
Yeah. At State Hospital, they went into my brain specifically to learn my history, bypassing the need to even guess anything. And they found out I was completely innocent. They found out that I had been set up, that I was this boy who had been abused by the state, and I'd been thrown into a mental hospital where I was assaulted by staff, and they set me up to look mentally ill to cover it up, and I witnessed all sorts of crimes, drug smuggling, and sexual abuse from staff going on of patients, and how all the staff backed each other up. They went into my head. Now, they offered me a settlement at first. They said, you know,
what makes you think that that's how they got the information?
Oh, well, because they told me, first of all, it starts off where all the info that I have is getting back to staff, right? And they admit there's technology outside the building, this building penetrating. And they knew when I was masturbating in the shower, the staff would sit there and play games. At first, I thought in my head, there's no way they know what I'm doing here in the shower, but they would be out there always in there masturbating. Staff members would deliberately stage these events to let me know that they knew everything I was doing in the shower, in my room, everything I was thinking. I became aware that I could speak and they would know everything I was saying. So I could communicate to them in my room. And staff would say, oh, he knows. And this is all recorded. There's cameras out of the hallways with microphones recording the staff. They would begin to come out. They knew they had full control over everything. And they let me in. And then I tried to go to the media. They were actually controlling this because this is all for mind control. When they're playing with my mind, making me think that, you know, they're giving me information, they're going to, you know, different stuff's going on and shit. They were just fucking with me to control me. But they knew one thing. I was documenting the dates and times of the conversations. Patients heard some of it. You know, different things were witnessed. I get beat up by staff. They hated my guts, too. You got to know that they didn't really want to. Different staff thought different things. Some of them were kind of on my side and felt sympathetic. Other ones wanted me dead bad and enjoyed the power they had. They knew they could use it and abuse the fuck out of me if they wanted to. And even the good staff wouldn't say shit about it because it's all, like, controlled, right? So they're all guilty together. It's not just one staff guilty of it. They're all doing it. They're all part of it. So
they're definitely part of NSA and the CIA.
Yeah, well, Department of Justice was there. Did you know that?
You got to have security clearance.
Yeah, you got to know that this whole hospital was under surveillance, and it was being investigated by the Department of Justice at the time. and they were all involved. And one of their methods of investigation, it's not just for census information, spying on people and getting all their info. They'll use this in their real investigations. So they get all the facts that they're not going to get. But this is what Snowden says. See, what they're using it to replace the old days where there were face-to-face interrogations. And there were gathering, they're asking questions, right? They want information, and they're doing their investigation. They'll go to the patients and ask them, hey, how do you feel your civil rights have been violated and stuff like that? Well, in the new system, they just deploy their surveillance on the fucking Oregon State Hospital. They do their cripple investigation. They don't talk to nobody. They don't ask any questions. They just take the information by force. And they have it all. They don't really intend to do nothing with it, but they enter into this fraudulent settlement. That's what they did. They did a settlement with the state. The state agreed and knew everything was happening. And they build this super new hospital. It's all focused on security. The Department of Justice gets to hide the fact they were using surveillance. The state gets to build their new hospital and not get sued. And everything in that place was covered up. All the fucking secrets, all the abuses. They generated this CRIPA report that I have on my site. It's all fake. It's based on some real situations and some real information, but that's a parallel construction, a cover story. That's just what they just lie. Yeah, they just fabricate. They took some information, they put it in the report, but there's a lot of stuff missing what they were really doing at that place. And I've been a target ever since. And they use this on me. They put images in my head in August of 2008. They put audio in my head. They tried to kill me with it. They set me up to look psychotic because I had all the dates and times. I wrote down everything staff got caught doing and admitted to doing. Okay. And I sent that to FBI. I sent the governor's office. I have the email on my website dated July 2008. And it's got these dates and times of staff admitting they're doing this stuff. And nobody checks the security video or audio, and they come and they attack me with the weapon and cover all the video and audio up. That's what they did. I believe it. Yeah.
A guy in my family named Dave Snowley, he was targeted by Eric Prince and guys in the family because he had a more of these coke stashes I inherited buried in his backyard. They wanted to get rid of him and get control of that house, get their hands on the property, get rid of him and then buy it when it went into default. And they did. They poisoned him. And he ended up he was fighting and resisting being institutionalized. They were trying to get him so out of the way they could steal everything. They got him down. They just kept harassing him so they could get him to react violently. And then they put him in the Oregon State Hospital. This is just a couple of years ago. I went down to visit him to try to help him. I walked in this little area where you talk to somebody through the glass or try to find out if he's even, still there. Or they hide people. You don't know where they're at. They'll move them, relocate them. Well, this little Nazi brown shirt, this perp behind the glass, or at the window, I wish I could remember the exact the layout of the office. But he said something that at the time I didn't know what he meant, but I learned later it's more mafia terminology. He goes, some people, he knew who I was talking about. He said, boy, he's been very difficult. Some people, it takes them a long time to figure out they need to take it up a notch. Well, that's a mafia terminology for sodomy. And they were obviously trying to assault him, and again, and he was already mafia. He's real familiar with all that, but didn't want to have anything to do with it, obviously. But the guy was so obviously not a heterosexual, and he was just this creepy bastard going in using mafia terminology to describe Dave Snowley's rebellion in the hospital. They got him moved out of there. And he's now somewhere in some care center, and I can't find him. I'm trying to help the guy. They probably got him. They're probably killing him with drugs, just trying to destroy his mind, make him a drooling vegetable. I've heard they do that. And I'm really worried about the poor guy, but I don't have the resources to track him down.
Yeah, what you were just saying.
Coincidence.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wanted to just affirm what you're saying. The state hospital is a site where when stuff's happening to you and anywhere in the community and government intelligence agencies behind it, you end up at that fucking place. And the doctors are insiders too, and they fuck you up.
Right.
Or they spy on you, whatever. They control you. They play tricks with you. So,
well,
I don't know what happens to other people. I just know that's their capability. So if any type of target ends up there, it's by design. Some of them will be murdered there. They'll be kept there 20 years. They'll be framed to look psychotic and drugged. They'll be given the pills kill them, right? There's an article on RT, which I just posted on Facebook like a week ago. It says there's 500,000 deaths annually from psych meds, and there's no, the benefit's low. So the drugs are a way of killing a person, but they make it look like it's mental health care.
Right.
And they just make the record, all the judge, this guy's here for mental health care. He's complaining of the CIA and the DOD targeting him, but it was all real, right? Or, the sheriffs were involved in something, and he's been they send him there for the evaluation to discredit him, get him so he's going to be forced to do a mental health offense. They'll set people up that way, but there's other people who go there too for observation. Terrorists might get sent there, shit like that.
Right. Well, it's interesting.
That's a complete violation of your Fifth Amendment, because what they're expecting is that the doctors can parallel construct, right? So whatever they discover, whatever they get you to say, whatever they want to say, you might not even have said it. They might say you said it, though. They'll find out a way to frame you.
Right.
That place is dangerous.
Right. I believe it. I know another relative of mine, David P. Jewell, who's a real psychopath. He helped with druggings and rapings. That group of older brothers that were trying to destroy my life and other people to steal all this wealth I inherited and try to keep me from getting at it and discredit me through the whole process. Dave Jewell's mother worked at the Oregon State Hospital, and they admitted right in front of me when I was on a vacation with them before I found out what was being done to me. He admitted that his mom's job was to make sure that no one got out of there until people who were talking about corruption problems, that they were told that they were crazy, labeled as crazy, and they would be continued to be called. They would, relentlessly keep calling him crazy and making him take medication and not even letting him out of there until they agreed to lie and deny everything and put it in writing. So I don't know how the inner workings of that hospital works like you do, but I do remember Dave Jewell telling me that the mafia families were running it, and it was all part of military intelligence, which is the mafia now, and that these people were so ruthless about discrediting victims of organized crime when they got them in there. And
these doctors, all the staff there, they have secret clearance. They have knowledge and intelligence. They work with law enforcement. They go back and forth between different parts of the military-industrial complex. They might go work over at the prison. They might go work at a jail. They might go work at a university and do some top-secret work. Yeah, these guys are fully integrated into that.
Yeah, NSA and the CIA.
Yeah, and they know the surveillance is being used, and they do stuff. They'll play tricks on a person if that's what they're going to get together and do. And this is with full collaboration of NSA or FBI, whoever is in on it.
Yeah, it's been quite a learning experience growing up around these people. Most people think, well, military intelligence, they must be military people. No, it's a massive civilian network nationwide. The 80% of military intelligence is civilian. They'll recruit anybody with a crotch. They got some use for them. Gang stalking, if nothing else. Just harassing other people.
Yeah, they organize.
So they can be labeled as crazy.
Yeah, and the staff are well trained. If you were, they give all the same training. Whether you're in the military or law enforcement, and you're being taught counter surveillance techniques, and psychological warfare methods and interrogation methods, or you're in a state hospital and you're a dumb state employee, because they got the high-level doctors and different staff who are really running the show. Then they have these dumb little, like, low-level union members who they go take a 3-week course, get their medical CNA or CMA or whatever, and then they're working there. They get all the power and protection of it, but they get training, like taught how to do PROACT, different psychological manipulation methods, and they get taught how to interrogate. They get taught how to watch people and do everything that they're told to do. And as a union, you know, you've got unions behind this, and these are national unions. They're in every state. You've got SEIU and whatever other groups, lots of them. They have this collective intelligence that they are cleared to share with each other, and they'll do this across borders, across states, and across institutions. They're watching people. They have people on shit lists, and they're like the gatekeepers of the government's information now. And this is really going on. So they got huge numbers. They're everywhere. Every single city, every single state, I
believe it. And I'm even in Heppner, Oregon. I got poisoned in Heppner, Oregon by the sheriff, Matlock, and my nephew, Eric Prince, during a meal where they had a restaurant owner named John Goshner lying to me about what I was signing so they could steal more of these metal boxes full of this coke I inherited. And when I went to the hospital in excruciating pain, dying from the poisoning, the nurse who drew my blood told me, she said, have you been poisoned? You've been poisoned. From what I could see. Well, it was about 10 minutes later, the sheriff showed up with a briefcase, and that was the end of seeing her. I never saw her again, and I read the medical reports, and they tried to call me crazy to cover it all up. And that was the end of talking about poisoning. And they've denied that ever since. Really pisses me off. John Goshner got poisoned too. They tried to poison both of us. So anyway, it all gets covered up.
Yeah, it's going to be covered up, and they have those agents there. They're just waiting to cook the record. Every record, every police report, every record in court is going to get cooked. That's parallel construction. They just keep it all off the record, and you'll be sitting there fighting it. Your own lawyer is going to be treating you like you're mentally ill. They just did this to the guy who shot up Planned Parenthood. He did this on his own right. He's not mentally ill. And this is on RT.com. And his lawyer's sitting there, hey, where's the records from the prosecutor says this guy's mentally ill? He's already trying to set his own client up, get him forced drugged, just like the Batman shooter. And he said this, Red Court, you're just trying to get me drugged up just like the Batman shooter. This guy is not my lawyer and shit. See, he's up against the same shit I was. The lawyers are ready to throw the clients away and help the state do it. They're not going to contest it. They got it all set up. And you go to a police officer, I'm being abused. Oh, he writes down paranoid, schizophrenic, blah, blah, whatever he wants to in the record, or, came to me with something that sounded, next thing you know, you're, if you're a regular citizen, because some of these citizens on, getting gang stalked and whatnot, they go and they complain. Next thing you know, they're hauled off to a mental institution or something.
Absolutely. Well, the independent review boards that are set up there to look like activist groups to monitor police corruption are just a trap. It's bait to get people in there. I know this because I've witnessed it, and my family's admitted it. They have a psychiatrist that works there. They get all the victim of police brutalities or the witness of police corruption personal information, and they have the psychiatrist that works there type up a letter calling the guy nuts and crucify him behind his back, mail him out to friends and relatives, coworkers, whatever, if they ever need it.
Yeah, and that's that's just the next level. Once they get you into a psychiatrist, he diagnoses you, and it doesn't matter how wrong it is. You could be completely sane, but you're going to walk away diagnosed bipolar, persecutory delusions because you're complaining, hey, this is wrong. I didn't do nothing. I'm sane. They think that you're.
When I was broke, and because of all this terrorism with my family and the thievery and stealing my home, and I was homeless even. And of course, my family leaving me stranded because so many of them had financial gain as a motive with everything I inherited. I applied for Social Security benefits at the Social Security office. Whoa, what a mistake. They have a psychiatrist there. They used that doctor, the same guy who admitted to me he was working with the new owners of Blackwater, scamming my signature to steal more coke stashes. They used the psychiatrist to say, here, sign this, and I saw it right on the paper. They scanned my signature. It said for recovery of metal boxes. When I asked for a copy of it, he wouldn't give me a copy. Said, I have another appointment. I can't talk anymore. I watched the CIA scumbag that admitted he was working with the new owners of Blackwater and Eric Prince still, gave the doctor a briefcase full of cash for scanning my signature to help him steal another stash. And then, of course, that piece of garbage just did the same thing to crucify me and put in the report. It's awful. This chip has enabled that element of CIA in my family to have me followed, put hookers in my life, pretending to be my girlfriends. And this isn't just my ranting. I actually thank God some honest FBI and cops in Idaho told me, look, we know about the letters. Your family writes letters about people. They have doctors write letters calling people crazy. Don't worry, we know you're not crazy. And I didn't realize how serious the problem was. They even offered to provide a doctor to write up a letter saying I was perfectly fine, because they said, and at the time I kind of got defensive. I didn't realize, I didn't know about all the drug stashes I inherited being stolen yet. So I couldn't figure out the motive. I said, I know I'm not crazy. I'm not worried about it. Well, come to find out more information. I mean, they were really destroying my life with this.
Yeah, they have something called, I want to tell you about Treasure Map. It's an NSA cryptonym or whatever. What they have is a software, and it's a piece of software that pulls information from databases and sources to compile essentially and to track everything it possibly can, whatever they put into the treasure map. So cell phone locations down to real time, scans of the Earth's surface. There's literally treasure maps. They've scanned the entire planet. They know, there's some uranium deposits here, and we got some lithium, diamonds, and gold, and here's a shipwreck, a bunch of shipwrecks, or some ancient whatever, some dinosaur bones.
Oh my gosh.
They've used interferometry to scan the whole fucking planet. They know where people are at.
Who has access to that? I could make somebody a billionaire 20 times over if they would work, someone who knows how that technology works, because I know the general locations of all this stuff I inherited that my brothers have been slaughtering my life over for decades.
Yeah, this is DOD, and Dr. Robert Duncan backs this up. I talked to him. He said, yeah, very good research on that. They know everything they want. All the secrets. The buildings, the walls do not protect or hide anything. It's all been mapped out.
This is just stuff that's less than a foot underground in huge batches, some small, some large. But a lot of it's in residential areas, getting people's lives destroyed because my family will kill people that are in these homes, get control of the properties. And I know I've been the victim of it. My grandmother was murdered. Took them a lot of time to do it. But there's been other people, even on our street, the people who used to live across the street from us, the Westerbergs, the poor guy's wife told me, your brothers and your mother murdered my husband with a microwave oven to steal your metal boxes out of our yard. I thought she was losing her mind. It didn't even make sense to me. Microwave oven. He couldn't fit in a microwave. And metal boxes, I didn't know about any metal. So I thought she'd been drinking or something. And come to find out years later, unfortunately too late to save my grandmother's life, she wasn't kidding. The same scumbag murdered my grandmother. So it's a huge problem, and these stashes are in horribly dangerous situations. I don't care if the houses are full of other CIA or tough guys who think that they're in the know and they're in the family, or whoever they are. They think they're safe because they're smart and tough. What a joke! They just take turns killing people over and over to get control of these stashes. I mean, just
all
on my
sorts of
street
stuff.
alone.
Oh yeah, you know what else? If they come to you and they kill you, and you're just an unarmed man, they will plant a gun on you to make it look like it was justified. And a former prosecutor said they're all trained to do that.
I believe it, because I remember an old cop who used to work at Central Precinct was flapping his jaw about how they used to throw people down the elevator shaft at the old police department in Portland and kill them.
They just they just got to make it look justified to the jury and the media. Then they hope that there's no one standing by with a camera, phone, or something recording it. That's there was a video, very powerful video, showing a guy get shot in the back as he was running away from a cop. The cop goes over and tries to drop his taser next to him like the guy had a weapon. And it's all on video.
Oh, yeah.
That's still going on over and over. They just do it.
I sat in a restaurant and watched these guys in my family, like Bob Renner, who's also on the Mafia Commission, Mike Elliott, who's also on the Mafia Commission, sitting there training young perps, their latest recruitment of sex slaves, training them on how to do gang stalking, harassment stuff in the restaurant.
Oh, yeah, that's counter surveillance, by the way. I just wanted to say that I have a source for this. My friend, military intelligence, right? Interrogator in Iraq, worked at secret black ops prisons. He said this is all called counter surveillance. When they're doing the gang stalking, they're trained to do that. So they go and they follow people. They play games with them. They try to get into buildings or fuck with people. Like inside the building, they might make noises. They might, whatever. And they're trying to, so that's what gang stalking's all about, and they're all trained to do it.
Oh yeah, I sat and watched him trying to get these young guys, to mimic the other person across the restaurant and copy what they say, repeat what they say, just stupid stuff so stupid. The young guys they were trying to train were rebelling, saying, I'm not doing this. You got to be kidding me. This is the stupidest stuff I've ever heard in my life. I don't want to look like an idiot and sound like an idiot trying to harass somebody across the restaurant who doesn't even know who I am. And it's so stupid, he doesn't even know what I'm doing. Well, my brother gets mad and starts spewing this information about this is what NSA tells us to do. The NSA designs this stuff, these forms of harassment. They're the experts. They know what they're talking about. If you don't do it, I'm going to kill you. And no one's going to do anything about it. You'll be forgotten. And so they threaten him and intimidate him. But he did a great job of spewing how it's all NSA, CIA, these tactics of harassing American civilians by these group of sex slaves and perps that get stuck in the intelligence agencies, framed into it, or God knows how they ended up getting involved in it. And then they're under the thumb of my Nazi brother, who tries to intimidate everybody. He can't intimidate me. He can't fight his way out of wet toilet paper, but he does pick on other people. And it's really sad because I have been the target of that stuff many times, and for not even doing anything, just because of their obsessing over trying to make me look bad and trying to get rid of me so they can steal and not have to be accountable, not have to pay me my own inheritance. It's amazing. How I could pay somebody? I mean, a detective could make more money helping me, millions of dollars, than these stupid cheap bribes that they get from the family. I mean, I've watched it happen in Bend, Oregon. I've watched it happen in Idaho, where my cop brothers, older half brothers, sons of the same cop that dumped all this hell into my life and this inheritance. Other cops from all his affairs with all these other hookers and women in his own family. Everyone wants to work at the police department because they're in the mafia families, so that's what we do. We work in the police departments and trash that place like they do their own families. So my brothers, I find out I'm being stalked by these detectives from Washington County and Portland, not so they can help me, but they're following me into these state police offices and city police offices, FBI in Pendleton, and they're loaded up with coke that they stole from stashes I inherited, briefcase full of cash that's my part of my inheritance. They use it to bribe these cops to get in ahead of me because they're other cops. I'm the crime victim out scratching on the door trying to get someone to save me. My asshole brother gets in first, bribes everybody. So by the time I get in there, they're all ready to just look at me like, what have you been smoking? And they don't help because they've been bribed right in front of me. You can own the police department. I learned from watching my brother, his older half-brother, how easy it is to bribe a state police or city police office with a briefcase full of cash. They'll let people just get their lives destroyed, their inheritance stolen, and get murdered.
Oh yeah, cash just makes everybody feel so much better. Yeah.
Coke. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Throw a box
just like Coke, man.
On the detective sergeant's desk, and you get to be a serial killer for the rest of your life and get out of jail for free, just for dropping a little Coke that was stolen from me on some detective's desk. It's nauseating. I'm the one who inherited it. They want to lick somebody's boots and kiss ass and lie. I mean, they should be helping me with all their skills of being tough guys and liars. You know, bring the scum to justice that burned my grandmother to death and torched me with a microwave half to death. You know, thousands of hours of the poisoning. I've been poisoned and thrown up and almost died from poisoning, enough to kill 30 people. Professional murderers in my family have told me they've never seen anything like it in their life. And these are people that poison people for the fun of it. They have never seen anybody in their life survive more poison. It's mind-boggling. But what they don't care or understand is I feel horrible. My energy is drained. I feel like I'm 100 years old. Organs that don't work very well. It makes it impossible when your metabolism's been destroyed by poisonings and microwaving and the stress. And it's like, I'm dying here, and it's not funny. And I could make somebody a multi-millionaire if they would literally just do their job as a detective or a special agent. That's it. That's all they got to do is quit lying to my family, quit being my family's little love toy, and be a man and help me. And you can make more helping me because I'm the one that inherited this whole pile of garbage. But they're so busy kissing my family's ass and taking the little bribes. It's amazing how hard it is to get brave people to help. I don't need to tell you that, or we can rant about that all day. But
you know what else? They got general citizens involved. I forgot about that. It goes beyond the state employees and unions. It's like the Stasi anymore. It's like with all this Homeland Security shit, they've programmed all these people who'd rather be involved with law enforcement than, you know, they don't have brains. They just blindly go along with it. Doctors, employees in Starbucks, McDonald's. It's this extra layer of how to like get people to do things for the government. Watch people, harass people. It's going on.
Well, please know, if you don't already, when I hear a lot of people compare it to the Nazi Party, please don't let there be any misunderstanding. My family has it, and they're right in the hub of it. This is the family running the whole nightmare. My family has admitted in clear terms 1,000 times, this isn't like the Nazis. It is the Nazi brown shirts. And this goal of these families and the part of the intelligence agencies they're a part of is the total annihilation of America for the New World Order, communist, Nazi government with a dictatorship. And taking out the trash, which is any American that doesn't want to be a part of it, is their goal. And that means good people, that means Christians, and it is a war. It is not just some swinger club with a bunch of homos that are control freaks that like to have a bunch of sheep that do stupid things. They are committed to the annihilation of America and murdering and slaughtering and raping Americans that will not join their cult when they're targeted, or who are activists against the New World Order. It is the Nazi brown shirts, and they say it very clearly. We are brown shirts. So it's just awful.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. They identified to me very early that I would not join with them. I would not do settlements. I was for justice and the truth, and the staff all had discussions about it, that I would not drop it. They said, well, some staff tried to advocate for me. They're like, well, he just needs a therapist and stuff, you know, and other staff, like Suzek's director, they wanted me dead, man. Different people. So they ended up setting me up, and just, I was just out their whim. They could do anything. I knew it too. I was so like in terror and fear every fucking day because I knew it was happening. And every time I got the opportunity to get evidence, I thought, yeah, I fucking nailed them. And I would go doing all the normal channels to get help with it, with my evidence. I just got it, all the evidence that it was happening the whole time, and they just kept covering it up over and over. And then that's when then it just escalated because they had to do more and more to cover it up. Like, I just kept getting more powerful and moving to the next option. It was like hypervigilance. It's going to lawyers and media. These emails that I had sent out, everything, I perfectly framed them. So that's why I eventually got nuked.
Problem. Yeah, that's their biggest problem. They're so they're so overboard the lying and denial of everything instead of fixing things, keeping their own scumbags in check. So people like you, people like me, other people that are victims of it end up so pissed off they become hyperactive, just totally hyper vigilante activists out trying to spread the news and getting this information, and it turns you into a detective forced to expose this stuff where you'd rather be doing other things if they would just quit being such wimps and cowards and keep some of the abusive garbage they do in check, or apologize once in a while and just punish somebody so you feel you've been vindicated. You probably would have dropped the whole subject and got on with your life, but they're such lying, parasitic scum about everything because they don't have the courage to confront each other, let alone be confronted or held accountable. They're such wimps about keeping each other in check. The whole thing just is a pressure cooker, a constantly growing in pressure, growing in exposure, growing in its threat to national security because it's all under the false label of national security. There's no leaders. They're all a bunch of transgender cowards. So there's no one helping the serious abusers. There's no one getting rid of them, which are exposing the whole thing. People who are a little smarter, even though they might be evil, even though they might be brown shirts, they might be CIA, very much involved and committed to the whole thing, they're such pussies about keeping their own scumbags that are loose cannon Jeffrey Dahmer types, like my nephew Eric Prince. No one ever does anything, and so they all get exposed. Eventually, this whole thing is going to implode all of them because none of them have the balls to keep their scumbags in check.
And that's the other thing about that. I used to say that all the time, like, because I was on the side that why would they even want there to be bad things happening in here? And I said, well, I guess it's because, you know, they keep doing bad things and they don't do nothing about it. But I thought that they'd have an interest in getting rid of those bad apples, but they actually don't.
Exactly. Yeah. They should have an interest in getting rid of those out of control bad apples in their own batch, but they don't have the courage to confront each other. That's the problem. They'll kill each other, but you never see any. I mean, that would be kind of funny actually to see some Nazi homo brown shirt lecturing another one on ethics and get a grip on yourself. You're exposing the whole thing. No, they're such crazy ladies trapped in men's bodies. They're so greedy. They're such liars. I mean, I got nothing against normal, run-of-the-mill gay people. I'm really happy for them that they found some way to be happy, and at least I don't have to worry about them screwing my girlfriend. But the homosexuals in the brown shirts that are the Nazi terrorist homosexuals forcing out other people, forcing it into the recruitment practices, trying to make everybody who joins the NSA and the CIA be initiated that way, or forcing it on you when you can't even work at Merrill Lynch if you don't join that cult, or if you don't join that club, or are willing to.
Yeah, the different sanctions. And like I started off saying, one, Snowden, there's whistleblowers, terrorists, activists, and these groups, we're like almost all on the same side. We're like the resistance, and we're fighting the Death Star and the Empire. Snowden runs off with some documents. Terrorists come, bomb some 9/11 buildings. Todd Giffin's out there, hey, they're fucking nuking me and people with radiation. I do the private investigation. I got all the evidence. I got all the experts that say it's happening. But there are these cults and these factions. The government seems to be the worst one to be a part of. They're very dangerous. They're warmongerish. They cover everything up. They have all this power and technology and history of murder and torture and ongoing torture and murder. The brown shirts, these guys, you can't. So I became to see, okay, so I guess it's not just a few bad apples. They're all in on this, and it's by design. This is how, they don't even want to strive to do good. That's not their goal. Their goal is to make a lot of money, to be secure for themselves and their families, but not anyone else's.
Right.
At all costs. That's how far it goes. All costs to keep control over it. Now, when they finally attacked me, that's where they were in my head. They were going through my memories. They were telling me the whole plan. They even offered me an unstructured settlement and a structured settlement. The unstructured one included me getting nuked and irradiated, and I don't even know. They mentioned $16.4 million, and I was supposed to go to one of their own lawyers. I was supposed to use their own resources to try to arrange this fucking fake settlement and stuff. They were going to guide me all along through it.
Sure. Right into poverty.
Right. Well, now I'm in poverty. Well, I rejected it. I believe I was possibly offered something up front, but I rejected it all. See, I wanted to criminalize them. That's what they don't want. They don't want to be criminalized. And they knew that I was a risk. See, I was always going to be a risk of blowing the whistle on them and coming out. So there was not going to be any settlement. That I was not going to win. Nobody was going to do nothing for me. So they decided to bury me. And now we've went, even though I was innocent, like I was telling you up front, they went through all my memories. I've been set up. I was in the hospital falsely. I was denied due process and trials and stuff. My lawyers fucked up my case. The doctors beat me up and different staff. That's how I got on drugs. That's how it all started. Then I witnessed all those crimes. Everything just kept going on. They just kept it going. And the settlement was that they all knew that. And they had offered me, once they did the attack with the directed energy weapon, I was almost paralyzed, but there's sympathizers, see? So they offered me some stuff. But in order to get it, I had to go along with what they were doing, and I refused. I wanted to criminalize it, and I tried to expose it. Because that's what you do. I'm not the type that sits there and goes, oh, all these huge crimes go on, and you just do a settlement. Or let it, choose to walk away and let everyone else who's still in the system be subjected to that. That's not the way I am. I want to fix it. I'm like Snowden. I want to end mass surveillance. I want to end psychiatric abuse. If someone did a crime, I want them to go do some time in jail. Even if they're a state employee.
I wish I was still that. I appreciate what you're saying. I've been fighting it my whole life because I was born into the families that are crapping this out onto America and each other. I can't take it anymore. I really want to be bought out. So, I would help people like you. I would help people who are doing things that are positive. If they've got something that they need help with, anything I can do to help victims. Like I want my nieces out of slavery, and some of my half sisters that aren't blood-sucking vampires. Some of my sisters would make my brothers blush how much they've stolen. And some of them are nice. I mean, I help people in my family and people like yourself. But honestly, I've been doing this so long, I never got to have a life. I really do just want to get my money and get bought out of this, but for a fair price. I'm tired of getting ripped off.
You know, here, what they've done, they broke me too, man. I just don't want to die, and I want to get medical care badly because I got traumatic brain injury, severe, like a motherfucker, from being radiated.
Yeah.
Just having my brain beat with radiation.
Don't misunderstand me. I'm not afraid of a fight, and I never turn down a fair fight.
Well, I might do that.
No one intimidates me, but I'm so tired of doing it by myself. There's no good guys anymore. You and a few other people. I mean, there's no resistance to it. Just a handful of guys bitching about it all day, like you and me, and you're learning that too.
Yep.
There's no organized resistance, and after being having the last 45 years of my life destroyed because no one will help me, except maybe once every 10 years, some brave girl in my family sneaks up on me or something, if I even know what the hell she's doing. They're so chicken shit about it, but at least she tries. I mean, there's no one helping me. So I just can't, honestly, I can't take it anymore. I just want to go fishing and get my inheritance out of the hands of the scum that's been betraying me and help the nice people in the family who haven't been trying to rip me off.
Yeah.
And then have some peace in my life and get married and have a family.
Yeah,
even if I have to spend half a year in a different country.
I got to figure out what the hell I'm going to do because another year of this is going to be fucked. But I have, like, literally entrenched myself into them as if I was, like, you know, some type of porcupine or something. And I have these options, but the options are so fucking weak. I have these lawyers and stuff from the state. They're supposed to be investigating this. And that's where we're at now. They're the inside lawyers that are sabotaging the case. And they're all friends. There's conflicts of interest like crazy. And so we've had this, I've got this one case open. The state's supposed to treat my case like it's a murder trial. My lawyer gets appointed. He's supposed to investigate everything I claim because I have a false conviction from this. Because in 2011, the police beat me up in my own home, busted my nose and my teeth. They targeted me. They knew everything that was happening. They knew who I was. This radiation, this is not from any record. This is from their own spying on me, and they're taking part in the operations. These two cops just fucking, it just that indicates they want me dead bad. The fact that they would beat my ass up and do it as brutally as they did, and then try to hold me in jail for so long. The district attorney's wanted to. He hoped I dropped dead in custody, so I never got to say a word about what they did. Now we're on that post-conviction relief. I have 50 expert witnesses. I got all the best talent lined up. These are professionals with licenses and worked in the government. I've got all the Snowden documents. It says a little bit about their inside, the Death Star insides, you know, and that there's been so many articles talk about this. We've got to see how corrupt the FBI is. They've been lying to everybody, and how there's all these articles explains how they've been told to parallel construct and lie, and how they're intercepting all the content of all our communications and spying on every single citizen and every single. They got all the satellite cables. I've got all this lined up and ready to go. It's just been dead, man, in court. My lawyer, like, corrupt lawyer after lawyer, and they know exactly. Yeah, they're all friends with each
overwhelmed.
Other. They're not even overwhelmed. Yeah, I'm just.
They don't know what to do about it.
No, man. They are just pathetic. They're not trained enough, but they're also friends with all the ones involved. So what I really think is happening, because I have a doctor who's like waiting for them to email. They won't even email the fucking doctor, man. Because they already know what's happening. They've heard my case. They've all seen my site. They know everything about it. Trust me. And the lawyers before, I told you there were some inside lawyers, right? And they wanted me to go to their lawyers that were involved and let them handle the case. And there's going to be settlement and different stuff. And $16.4 million. I'd get damages for some of the things that happened to me, right? My conviction would be overturned. They said all this stuff would happen. But because I rejected that, see, there's lawyers all over the state who are involved in that.
Is it too late to take them up on their offer?
No, not now. That was 2008. That was right when, because I had made friends with some of them, right? Some of their insiders. There was
Right.
a woman named Deanne Major, specifically, who was trying to stick up for me when this was going on. She was part of the U.S. Department of Justice investigation. She knew the surveillance and technology was being used, and she advocated for me. But when I rejected the deal, because I wanted people criminalized. I didn't want a deal. I didn't want money and stuff. I wanted I wanted the staff to get in trouble for this because I had caught them. I had them on video and audio. So that's not where she was going to go because she was involved with that. And so that's all I had, though. There was no way I could. If I had $1 million, I probably could have went to a professional private lawyer and maybe someone who's on. I don't know about the whole state bar thing. I think the state bar they're court operators, right? I think they're involved in surveillance and court operations and police operations.
The state bar is run by the CIA. Tell me that.
Yeah, the mafia and stuff. And I don't know how to I don't know if I could have found someone even with $1 million who would do a lawsuit to get me any help, even back then. Because what I realized is you can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, the only hope is a lawyer who has experience for this stuff because of his military background, who's just as pissed off as you are.
Yeah.
And I've never found one.
I've never found one either.
Never found one. I'm not trying to be, like I say, I'm not afraid of a good fight, and I'm not afraid to die. But I'm just saying, I've learned from being around mafia families, CIA families, NSA, they don't even care enough to help you save them. You know what I mean? No one would have more fun using all these coke stashes to build a giant security company that makes Blackwater look like the Girl Scouts and take over America and save the Constitution and the Republic and run for president and save everybody from slavery. No one would have more fun with that and kicking the shit out of bad guys than me, but it's not reality. It's not realistic because there's so few good people. Even the people in the mafia, even the sex slaves, they don't give a shit about you or anybody else. And my instincts are to feel protective of I love my nieces, I love my sisters, I love my nephews, I love my half brothers and all that. But that's just the way I am. They're not that way. I'm stuck here by myself. Why? Because my nephews and my nieces don't give a shit. They're sitting on huge amounts of my money. I got a bunch of nieces who have been just threatening to kill themselves. They're so miserable with being trapped in sex slavery. But when I need their help, they're assholes. They're useless. I can't get one of them to even go to a movie with me, but I'm supposed to risk my life saving her from sex slavery?
Yeah.
I'm stranded by myself living in a camper trailer because I can't get my house back. I got 60, 75 fucking nieces and half-sisters out there, all from this massive family that doctors up their birth certificates to cover up all the incest. And I can't get one of these yahoos to get off their butt with a briefcase full of my inheritance. Everyone that ever scammed my signature in the family to help my brothers steal coke stashes got a briefcase full of cash they were supposed to give to me. I got ex-girlfriends that have over 20 briefcases full of cash. I got guys who were pretending to be my friends, half-brothers and nephews, that got some of them up to 30 briefcases full of cash. Imagine a family that's been pulling this scam on me since I was just a kid. We're talking probably over $1 billion just in briefcases out there, and probably more, just around the family. Imagine 200 people in a family that all have a motive to kill you so they don't have to give you your money.
Yeah.
So that's the trust fund.
Yeah.
The people who murdered my grandmother are now the trustees of the trust, and the FBI helped them do it from Bend to Portland.
Yeah, the FBI.
And admitted it.
The FBI comes in when they want to cover something up and keep it going. So a murder happens, they cover it up as a suicide or something. They do it all the time. They're always the ones they initiate, and they do press releases, and oh my God, everyone's like, oh, the FBI is now on the opening an investigation. And the public is fooled into thinking, oh, that means there's a concern in the FBI that this is illegal, and then just get whitewashed and covered up, because that's what the FBI is actually there to do, cover it all up. The cop ain't going to jail, no prosecution, whatever, you know.
I mean, I said all that just so my point is my activism days are over. My life is so burned out on all this. I'm only stirring the pot, networking with you and other people, so I can help somebody if they need some help. And I want to keep the exposure up, so my family either quits being a wimp about killing me, so I can at least go to a better place, or quit being a wimp about paying me, so I can at least enjoy this place. But I don't want to save the world anymore. I'm so tired. I'm telling you, half the people that were upset about it, you sound like a good-hearted person like I am, half the people you're stressed out about saving, these targeted individuals, a lot of them, I don't want to discourage you, but most of the ones I've tried to help, they wouldn't help anybody. All they care about is themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they've tried it. All they got is their First Amendment, man. They have to speak with their fucking mouths, and no money. And in America, it's work. We have ultra poverty in America. The social services have been all cut. So this is not like fucking Europe, where they got free fucking everything, free housing, free basic income, free college education. Here in America, they have cut us off. So everyone's like in super amounts of debt, and we can't do shit if we want to do a lawsuit or something. So yeah, we are fucked. Yeah, they got a lot of money collectively in Europe. The targets are living way better over there, and they're doing more with their time. I just read a study on slash.org about this, too. They're saying, hey, poverty in America has been linked to lower IQs, but for some reason in Europe, poverty does not equate to a low IQ for some reason. And they go in, it's because our schools are all fucking smashed to bits, underfunded. The teacher unions are fucking things up. Not enough teachers, too many students per class, medical care.
But it's all deliberate.
Medical care. Yeah, it's all delivered by the Republicans, conservatives, and the elite of whoever. I mean, I think the Democrats might have something where they feel for us. They might wanted to fix that at some point in the past, you know. But basically, every dollar saved is a buck in the bank for the rich and the wealthy in this country. So that's why it's being done.
You would enjoy this video on YouTube, Obama's Endgame, and it's a KGB agent. You can't argue with a communist KGB agent, and he goes into total detail how all these scumbags and our intelligence agencies, nothing against the cool ones, but the ones that are the real hardcore scum that want to drag America down, and their tentacles in public education, healthcare, the media especially, all of it is being controlled by the communists, and America is right in the middle of a covert war it's been involved in for decades, and the public won't wake up. It's a great video, Obama's Endgame.
Yeah,
but I've learned
there's definitely this covert. There's a reason why the covert war is going on so easily, though. It's our Constitution. It's a weak piece of shit. After World War II, Roosevelt wanted changes made. And the rest of the world was desolate. They've been bombed, all sorts of bad stuff happened. And so Roosevelt sent aids, new constitutions in all these countries, right? Germany, UK, Australia, Japan. And the Constitution builds in economic rights and welfare for people and stuff. So they have the right to extra stuff, and so they actually can thrive, you know, even if they're kind of, you know, getting, you know, they're jobless or whatever. Here in America, you're going to end up in a homeless shelter eating expired fucking food, or you're wandering the streets. Even if you're a fucking kid, and in school, you need a tutor or something, you won't get a tutor. You need to go see a psychologist or a dentist, you're not going to get to do that. Although that changed slightly in the past few years because of Obama's medical care reforms with the Affordable Health Care Act. But for like decades and decades, children, hundreds of thousands of children in Oregon had no insurance. They would not get to see a doctor. The schools are also really bare bones with 40% dropout rate for regular students, 70% for disabled students. That's pathetic.
You know what my family does?
Yeah.
My family targets the kids in public schools for sex slavery. When kids are targeted for sex slavery in the schools, there are teachers in all the schools that are perps, that are all part of this mafia. And they try to hire, when they get control of an environment, it doesn't matter whether it's certain businesses or police departments, they do the same thing in schools. And when these kids are targeted for sex slavery, if they don't convert, they'll drug them and rape them, and then they kill them because they don't want them growing up to do this, bitch about it to everybody, write books, and be activists. Now the CIA, and I got articles to prove this is a worse problem than ever, thanks to families like mine. They're murdering kids that won't convert to, once they target the ones they want for sex slavery, they start trying to abuse them sexually. They'll even drug them and rape them. Talking about some of the most perverted scum to ever pollute the surface of the earth. And there are people in my family that are involved in it on a massive scale, targeting everyone in the family when they're young. The abuse I went through at the hands of CIA teachers, mafia teachers in the classroom teaching kids. And this didn't matter what school I went to, whether it was Whitford Junior High, Forest Hills Grade School, Mountain View Junior High. My family bounced me around in different situations. They had no problem finding mafia CIA teachers to make sure I got those classes, to make sure I was harassed and told that if I didn't get a sore throat, if I didn't convert to, joining the sex slave club for kids, so the older adults could have sex with us. If I didn't convert, I would never get another A. I would never get another B. And they even recruit older kids to beat the shit out of you at school. You're bullied, harassed, poisoned as kids. This is a brutal form of terrorism, and because it's the same mafia families running the police departments, it's all covered up, and the kid is they'll label the kid paranoid or delusional or retarded. The teachers will help.
Yeah, the whole plan is fucked. Now, I believe there's ways of fixing some of that. We got to get rid of all this secrecy, secret weapons, secret programs, right. This crap where you can, I guess we need brain scanners in court too. I mean, you should be able to have somebody brought into court and have their brain analyzed just to make sure that they're not hurting nobody like you or anyone else. And we need way more money because we need to be able to live without jobs so that our lives continue to function, going to school, getting medical care, food, housing, just like in Europe. In Germany, you get a free house, $400 a month, free health care, free college, and all the fucking shit you need to live. And they'll help you find a job, too, and you get all that money even if you don't find a job.
Well, this country's ruthless. It's a disgrace to mankind when it comes to homeless people and poor people, that's for sure. They just let people die on the streets. My family was letting me die on the streets while they all sat around with millions of dollars of my money in cash. No one would come save me. It's absolutely awful. Some guy had a heart and let me park my camper trailer on his property, and I hope I can stay there till I can get my house back or some money from my inheritance. But it's absolutely ruthless. I had a teacher when I was in the 5th grade with tears in his eyes. He was connected to the family. His name was Ken Bartrup. He was a reading teacher. He admitted, and he got ticketed by the police, and this is back in the 70s. He was written a ticket by the Lake Oswego police for telling the truth in front of me and some other guy in the family, that he was told to target me to try to make it look like I had learning disabilities, and to try to lie and say I was handicapped and there was something mentally wrong with me. And he was told that even that my family knew it was a lie. They were trying to destroy me because I wouldn't convert to child sex slavery and be one of their sex slaves like the other kids.
Oh yeah, that's what they do, man.
And to steal my inheritance.
That's what they do.
Incredible.
Yeah, terrible.
They did the same thing to me.
You know what they do? The state hospital system is rampant with sex. They're doing rampant sex abuse in the state hospital system, child welfare system. Like down Orange County in California, they just exposed that, Child Protective Services were running a huge child prostitution ring out of all the kids they had in custody. And
I believe it.
One of my psychologists, Dr. Percy Data, said that's all he saw when he came to America. He just saw rooms full of tortured people in the mental institutions who have been disabled with drugs and shock therapy and brain damage so much that they'd become vegetables. He saw kids getting raped and abused chronically in the foster care system. He was a director, senior psychologist for California Youth Authority. And he saw hospitals just rampantly abusing people and children, medical abuses, giving kids cocaine, just to make them stop crying. That's all. That's fucking sick. 15 hospitals were shut down. Yeah. Hey, I do gotta get going here. I was gonna say,
all right, man.
One more thing, I guess, was in Oregon. If you need some special services, you won't get it, and that's what happened to me. And that just threw me down the rug. I just needed services and functional infrastructure. And I didn't get that. And Oregon refuses to raise the taxes to pay for their shit. And so they just cut services. Boom. Music program gone. Computer program gone. Boom. Every year. That's the way it was when I was growing up. The schools just kept getting budget cuts after budget cuts and budget cuts. And they cut back Oregon. I didn't have the Oregon Health Plan, but I was reading the media. The same stuff happened. That. Boom. Program cut. Program cut. Program cut. Oh, we can hardly run the program anymore. And every time Oregon comes to raise taxes, no taxes being increased. We're not going to vote for that. So they basically gutted their own nurturement system for society, and they've done that in many states because there's no constitutional protections in place that say the court gets to decide what's best. And they do that in other countries, like in Europe, where the high court gets to decide basically if you're going to have free money and free housing and stuff. And they'll go to the Constitution. They got extra protections there. It says, right to dignity, right to this and that. And that's where they determine you got the right to this in Europe. But not here in America. But there is a Bill of Rights, too, that was proposed by Roosevelt. He died prematurely, and it never came to fruition. You can read about the Bill of Rights, too, on Wikipedia or something. You got the video clip where he says we're going to pass this and get it introduced here in America. Then he dies. Never comes. And Michael Moore, the famous documentary guy, he talks a lot about that in his movies, whether it's Sicko or Capitalism Love Story or this brand new one where he's highlighting Europe and how they don't even know what debt is in Europe. Here in America, we all got tons of debt. We got below zero value. Almost every single citizen except for the rich.
Oh, yeah. They destroyed my credit. I'm wiped out financially. It's a nightmare. I'm so disgusted with the whole thing. I just want to get my money, and I'll help nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters who want to act like human beings if they need help getting a house or a car. That's fine. But I'm done trying to save this country. It's such a turd pile, frankly. I've been so abused by it. I could live in this country that everyone thinks is so free and so powerful and so awesome. I could have every day of my life tortured, my nervous system burnt, tortured, and stressed by a microchip, and no one will help me. Not even in my family can I even get. I can't even get the goddamn website from one of my lazy hooker nieces who's sitting on millions of dollars of my money in cash from lying to me about what I've signed, helping my brothers get to be millionaires off my inheritance, and she won't even come save me.
They're all mind control slaves.
To help her, too?
They're all
mind-controlled slaves that don't give a shit about anybody but themselves. I'm tired of feeling sorry for them. I'll help the ones that, if they want to help me and feel bad for me and be a hero, I'll be the best hero they ever had. But I'm not going to fly around and save the whole family from sex slavery. They can go fuck themselves right off the way they treat me. I'll help the ones that are loyal to me.
Well, believe it or not, the world is a matrix. Just like the Matrix movie, it's a prison for our mind. And the United States, they've literally taken it to extremes. The whole fucking United States country is a prison for our minds. And when they build a ghetto here and they take money from you and you can't open the lock because you don't got money, the lock requires money to open, whether you're going to McDonald's or you're going to a psychologist or a doctor or you're going to hire a tutor, you're going to pay your rent. You got to have money to put it in that lock. Otherwise, you're going to get locked out and barred from it. So America, everyone grew up in that. They have adapted to live in that system where they don't feel secure and they won't help nobody. They're very antisocial. They'll kill. They'll fight. They'll steal to get ahead, and leave most of the population to suffer just so they can live in security if they can get it.
I believe it. I understand. I mean, I'll help any human being that's in a jam, but I'm not trying to win any elections over this.
Oh yeah, one more thing before I go. I do have a new lawyer coming. I mean, that's just the problem is I've been fighting with these bad lawyers, and I talked to the state bar, and this woman told me, you know what? You've got so many police agencies involved from different cities. Okay, the reason why, that targeted me that I want to sue, right? So she said,
right.
There's a conflict of interest if you go to any in-state lawyer because they're already, kind of friends with all the other cops and all the different lawyers.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
or something like that. She just told me, flat out, I can't give you a referral to any lawyer in the state because there's a conflict of interest there. They're not going to represent
you. Well, if you find a good one.
Yeah, if you find a good one, you might be able to bypass that conflict of interest if they're like, yeah, I want to fight this. They're showing that they're going to do it. Then they're going to do it and not just be like some punk who is protecting something or something like that.
Right.
I do have another case, Jed Pearson. Now, that lawyer there, he only handles appeals, unfortunately, but his firm there, I think, is pretty good. Jed Pearson, he put together a petition that's halfway decent. It looks like he's accusing the state of murder and torture, and he's fighting for me in that damn thing. Other lawyers wouldn't put anything together like that. And we're going to Oregon Supreme Court now, too.
Cool. Can you help me? Will you, when you get a chance, email me his information?
I'll email you his brief, and his contact info, sure. If you email me, I'll reply back with what you want.
If you end up helping me and I get my inheritance, I'll help you retire earlier. Trust me. I'm not a selfish person, and I love what you're doing. I appreciate it because nobody's got the balls to do it. I'm so tired of feeling. I mean, I grew up in a family full of people whining about being sex slaves, and all they do is kill me and try to destroy my life, steal what I inherited. And I'm supposed to feel sorry for these people? I mean, it's incredible. It's a nightmare. And so I love it when someone's actually brave and trying to be helpful. It's awesome. If you know someone who can help me get those scumbags off my trust fund that they murdered their way onto, I will pay for your retirement and all your legal fees or whatever if you haven't already got a settlement. And there's so much money there. If I told you, you wouldn't even believe me. It's massive. But I need a lawyer that isn't afraid of that element of filth and all their labeling everything a big secret.
I think I might know of one. But let me find out the name. You email me at case@OregonStateHospital.net. CASE.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Will do. All right. I'm getting a headache from this phone cooking my head.
Yeah, me too. It's all fucking warm.
You're a good listener, and thanks for tolerating my ranting about it, too. It's funny to talk to someone who's just as pissed off as you are about it. I enjoy it. So thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Thanks for calling. Bye.
Bye.